Hello, I'm going to start this video with contrasting lighting situations that will change while I make the video. What I just said should be a hint for you about this video and my thoughts about the solar eclipse that happens here on September 21st, 2025, 12:54 p.m. Pacific time. It is a new moon in Virgo at 29 degrees. We've done 2 new moons in Virgos here within a month. We did the first one a month ago at 0. Now we're at 29. We just kind of went through the whole deal, didn't we, of Virgo? We just did that in the middle of it. We did that lunar eclipse at 15 degrees Pisces, right there in the middle. Change. Change is what this video is about. Lighting conditions, economic conditions. Is it your living situation? Is it your relationship? Wherever Virgo and Pisces is falling in your chart, I know there's change. You can even say Gemini and Sagittarius parts of your chart if you have planets connected to these degrees of the lunations and eclipses. So, I was going to wait till the light moved away from my face, but no, I'm not, because I'm going with the flow. I'm trusting that the light will change and shift, just like my thoughts will, just like my life will. And I'm accepting what nature is giving me. Interesting thing here is, this month of September, regardless of the astrological transits, it's always a month where we're getting ready to do the equinox, whether it's the fall equinox or the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. We're in between seasons. We're mutating to start the next 3 months. Here, with this new moon in Virgo, at the last degree of Virgo, there's a finality involved here, and the eclipses kind of bring another chapter to that finality, especially in the Virgo part of your chart. Now, if I think back to 6 months ago, when we were at eclipses there in March, right? Remember, we did the eclipses with Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, right? Uranus was at an interesting place. So was Pluto, just going into Aquarius. You had all the outer body planets that were involved in this, I would say, the theme of the year of mutability and change, how we're going from the last degrees of all these outer body planets into something new. It's just taken a year and a half for this to happen. And we're almost there with the full injection, the full steps that we're going to take into a brand new world and age. And I'll talk about when that is. But now, we had lunations back then and eclipses that had these outer body planets involved. Just so happens what March is, right? March is also a mutating place that gets ready for the seasons. That's when we did the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere and the fall in the southern. Okay? So I'm setting you up for something here. And it has to do with change. So why have the eclipses been so intense this time? I think it has to do with the multiple layers. They're eclipses. We're dealing with them happening during mutable changing of season times. And all the outer body planets, from Saturn, Uranus, Neptune to Pluto, have been moving forwards and backwards. Right now, we're in the backwards place. So that's why I think they're heavy this time. It has to do with change. 6 months from now, when we go into March, the week of March 4th of next year, we're going to have another eclipse, and it will be a full moon in Virgo that's going to happen. So pretty much this particular lunation, the solar eclipse that's happening, new moon at September 21st, we are in a sense mutating and changing into a new season, right? But we're also, in a sense, forecasting. Because what is planted around this time, or what is happening around this time, we will see come to true fruition here March and April of next year. So, typically, when we see a new moon in a sign and it's affecting our charts, we could think 6 months from now, when the full moon happens on that sign, we get to see what's going on, right? And we could break this down in other lunation chapters. But if you're wondering why things have been so wild or overwhelming, I think it's those multiple factors. You put in the fact too here that we're dealing with Virgo itself, that is ruled by the planet Mercury, which is right now moving pretty fast. In this lunation, it's in Libra. We just had it leave Virgo. This is a little bit of a saving grace actually for this eclipse, because I think the conversations change, and I think the ruminating that Virgo can do, the multiple thoughts, the multiple words, the confusion kind of tries to find itself balance in Libra through tact and diplomacy, right? So saying that, we have that as a saving grace here. But the big thing here, though, is that we have to understand how we accept change individually. A lot of times when we resist, we come up with reasons, logically. We come up with reasons why something can't change, or I can't let this go, or if I do this, this will happen, so I'm in fear of doing it because the consequences of what will people think, right? Or it's one's looking at themselves and they're like, if, you know, they're dismantling themselves, they're looking at themselves in the mirror and they're just like, this isn't right. I have to keep doing this, but inherently, like, the spirit yourself knows that something's morphing and changing. So if you were looking in the mirror and your face was slowly morphing, like, you would flip out, right? Like, metaphorically, we're saying that. But just think about metamorphosis, right? And what happens? Some, depending on the situation, are like completely diving into the mysterious pool of metamorphosis, and some are standing on the edge looking down and they're scared shitless. I ain't judging here. I get it. But at some point, when we do jump, we do tell ourselves in the moment something, or we clear something in our mind and we let something go and we fall into it, we jump. Maybe the world pushes us from behind while we're even thinking and ruminating and trying to find a way not to do something, or what the inevitable is. And sometimes the world pushes you off the edge, and while you're falling, you're panicking or you're reaching back up to the edge. There's other scenarios where one is willingly making a decision and a choice, which I talked about in my last week's forecast. So you can make a choice video, is you make a choice, you choose. I willingly am jumping off. For me, personally, I've been thinking more of like, I'm on the river's edge, and I know I have my boat or my canoe there, and I've been on it for a little bit, but it's been a little rocky, and I kind of washed up to the shore a little bit, and I've taken a break, and I'm sitting there like, well, I can't go up back where I came from because the current's not going to allow me. I could try to paddle back up, but I can't. It just can't. I'm just going to perish. My muscles are going to burn. It's just a waste of time and energy. So I take a little break on the side of the river, and I'm looking down the river, and there's some fog over there, and I can't see around the bend, and I don't know where it goes. I don't know where it goes. But if I can't go back, then my other choice is to stand here by the river. But for how long? Like, for how long do I do it? At some point, though, through contemplation, through review of where I came from back down the river and what happened, let's say it's 6 months ago, right? I was talking about when Saturn was at the last degrees of Pisces, and Neptune was too. We were about to do that 29 degree to Pisces, 0 Aries point movement for the world. Uranus, about soon to go into Gemini. Pluto already in Aquarius. Venus in Aries went back into Pisces and back over the 0 degree point. So did Mercury during this whole eclipse time 6 months ago. And it was about a review and about a vision of what's to come. But we have to review emotionally where we stand with everything, knowing, if we're following astrology, that we're going to get propelled down the river. So here we are, here I am, 6 months later, on the side of the river. The journey already started, knowing that I can't go back. But contemplating what did happen in the last 6 months. Are there certain things that I need to look back upon or finish, in the Pisces part of my chart? even the Virgo parts of my chart, right? So this story, in one place, we're at the side of the river and we have to look at a couple things. But we know, if you're watching this video or any other videos, you know that you have to keep going. I don't know what to tell you, if to go jump in back now to go upstream, or it's next week or it's 2 weeks. It could be 6 months from now when you finally make the decision. Depends on the storyline in your world. So, as I sit here on the side of the river, I personally am grateful. I'm grateful that I have a tool like astrology to give me insight, because we're forecasting. I get to do this with clients. Many of you in the last month, I've heard your stories, I've listened, and I've heard your mind and the decision makings, or the fear, or what the mind comes up with. And finding ways to clear the mind, or to find a singular focus for the mind to latch onto. Hopefully it's positive or neutral and balanced, right? Saying that, we want to pay attention and look at least back where we came from. And if we have to shed a tear or two, and know, like, well, I made it this far so far, but I wish I can go back, or I don't know what's going to happen next, or blah, blah, blah. The world is this, the world is that, war is this, arguments online that, blah, blah, blah. Just go, go, go with the mind. And everything seems to be in pieces or in shattered places. At some point, you have to trust something. You have to trust something within yourself, or something in the world. Maybe it's an object. Maybe it's a temple that you create or you go to. Maybe it's a song that you sing to yourself over and over again. Whatever it is, find the one thing to latch onto. If and when, I shouldn't say if, I say when, you decide to get back on the boat to go upriver, you have to trust that the current's going to take you where you're supposed to go in however way. Do you have to be careful? Do you have to be aware? Yes, you do. But the feeling is the key. If we try to step out of our mind, and I think we can, and we go to what we're feeling, we know feelings change. And they change when we're actually in a feeling, and we're with that feeling, and we come to terms and understand that feeling. And I think that's when feelings change. That's when direction changes. And I think that filters into the mind eventually to how one makes a cohesive or precise or clear decision in their life. Again, sometimes we are pushed, not by our own doing. We cannot control that. But what we can control is how we choose to react to situations like that. So it takes faith and hope and optimism, which seems to be the darkest of times, when there's all the stresses, right? Or your friends, your family. You hear this conversations at work. You just turn on the phone, the TV, the laptop. And let me say something about all that. The algorithms do not work anymore. I've seen the algorithm not feed my YouTube channel views anymore. And this is the thing going on in comment sections on YouTube right now. I'm watching this. They're saying YouTube did something to the algorithm. Okay, they're always doing something to the algorithm. What's my attachment to the algorithm? That's what I had to ask myself. Or you, when you turn on Instagram, or if you're on the evilest of apps, TikTok, and you're sitting there and you're noticing that there's a certain type of way the content is being made. And it's very reactionary, as in it hits you and you're like, I'm going to watch this. Or what they're saying is dramatic, or it's in your face, talking really fast with some sound effect in between their statements. All to hook you. It's all to hook you. And the algorithm is based on hooking you. And the way it's been designed is to hook you dramatically, to make you choose or make you feel intense emotional states within the second or within the minute. And the way most of the time human beings do that is through debate and argument and through contrast. Because you have to differentiate yourself from the millions of other reels. So all you got to do is look at Instagram and IG, and let's say it's astrology, and you're sitting there and you're seeing everyone's different version of how they're coming across. And notice the ones, regardless of how good the message is or not, that have the most views supposedly or whatever. Does that mean that they're the better than everybody else? No, it's not, doesn't mean that. But everyone thinks that way. The algorithm is trained the mind to do that. And not only that, the ones who have the most views, do they make the most money? Possibly they do. Does that mean they're better at what they do than everybody else? No, it doesn't mean that. You have to step out and have perspective. I can watch somebody who's got 200 followers on IG, who seems to be new in astrology. Like, many people jumped in at the beginning of COVID. You know how many people jumped in to study astrology since COVID? You're probably one of them. That's great. But now we're at this place because they realize, I want to become an astrologer, I want to do something, and you have to deal with the algorithm. So that person with 200 followers might come up with the most fantastic, unique, I've never seen that angle type of post, but no one is going to see it. No one is going to see it, and they deserve to be seen. Tells me that the system doesn't work correctly, that there's something else that needs to happen. We're oversaturated. You could pick any subject matter in the universe right now, whatever you watch. You want to watch cats? You want to watch something political? You want astrology? It's tarot? You pick astronomy. I don't care. You pick whatever. And it's a competition. It's either this or that. And it's done in a way to hook you. Is that the way you want to live? And have you noticed the way you feel when you're locked in on the hook? Because it's designed to hook you here really quick, but to hook you in emotionally. Now, what's this have to do with what I'm talking about in change? I am going to make a prediction here. When we get to 6 months from now, when we do the full moon in Virgo eclipse, at that point, Saturn and Neptune will be fully back in Aries, okay? And they're not going back into Pisces. Pluto's already fully in Aquarius and moving forward. Jupiter will have been moving forward out of a retrograde cycle. The only planet that still has to go back, and they're still in the last degrees of Taurus, will be Uranus. And it won't be till April 25th that Uranus goes into Gemini. And it's at that point, March and April of next year, that all these outer body planets that have been going back and forth from one sign to another, ending eras, ending an age, ending massive chapters, we are fully in by the time we get to April of next year. And technology will have changed. Your way of interacting, you might have rebelled towards all this. I think everybody wants more in their life. They don't want to be beholden by algorithms and by apps that are owned by major conglomerates and billionaires. I really want you to think about this. This is my own personal views with this thing, but if we're going to change, and we're in the middle of it changing from a huge era, at least 30, 40 years, and we're about to enter a new one next year fully that has Neptune and Saturn in fire, we have Pluto in air, and we have Uranus in air. There's truly no going back now. So, how you'll deal with the change is key. And I think you could start right now. So on a macro level, what does your mind do? Is it healthy? Does it spin you out? Does it bring you anxiety? Is it connected to the algorithm? Does that happen? Is it a byproduct of it? And if it is, step off. Find another way. Many of us are financially connected to the algorithm. We depend on it. I depend on it. A lot of people do. That's how the world works. But if you're being cornered in and you notice your body is reacting in a way, a fight or flight, or not happy or not grounded, it's telling you something. There's another way, and it's coming. And it depends on you engaging in a very simple way, what you can trust and what you can let go. What happened before down the river, let go. What's coming down the river upstream that you cannot necessarily see, you must trust. And if you do have an insight, and it's happening through your sensory places, that's what you follow. And if your senses are manipulated or thrown off because of an algorithm, because of a certain type of structure, you need to step off. This is the place where we're coming in the next couple years that I see and feel that something new needs to be designed by you and by me and our local communities, of how we interact in the world, what community is, and how we serve each other in community in healthy and new ways. But it requires letting go of something in the past, something big, and the structures of control and manipulation we will see even more. And there'll be those standing up and fighting. There'll be those standing up and in their own personal internal worlds, creating. I've been talking about this for the last 2 to 3 years on this channel, about finding your own autonomous zone, standing in it, finding safety in it, creating it, or standing in it, and then creating from it. And by doing that, you will find others just like you. And they might not be the people in your life right now. There'll be new people, some old, that morph with your language, and you're morphing with their language. Detachment and the cutting off of old ways is key. So I could have made a video about what this means for each rising sign or whatever. There's plenty you can go watch on that, and I'm sure they're really good. I want you to think bigger. I want you to think bigger, like on a spiritual trip. What do you want? What do you envision for yourself and with people in your life? How can you do it? Or can you just stand there and let yourself take that in? And if that becomes your guiding light down the river, so be it. That's what we do. It's what humans have always done since the beginning. And it's told through story and myth. We're always following cookie crumbs. There's the things that we know and there's things that we don't know. And there is doubt and there's fear. And then there's jubilation, connection, and euphoria. And we just keep going down the river. So whatever it takes for you to get back in the boat and to trust things, you use it. That's my thoughts here with some of this. I as of late, have been wondering about my own stances, my own ways of being, my own ways of interacting with you or with people on the street or with the devices around me, all these things, the books on my shelf. And I'm realizing that I don't need more than 60-70% of it. And a lot of it is nostalgia. A lot of it is something connected to the past or scenarios that will never happen. I need this piece of gear and I need this thing and I need these particular things in my place or in the book on my shelf because just in case this and this happens. Most of the time it doesn't happen. And you're carrying weight. I'm carrying weight. I want the best for myself. I want the best for you, whoever is watching, right? When people talk to me, client ways, I'm trying to facilitate and be there the best way possible. There's what I see and the gifts that I have and the insights that I have as an astrologer and as a human being, as a man. But it's you sitting across from me. You're the one who knows your story. You tell me the story. Then I have to hold your hand or maybe give you some suggestions or we find some correlations together about what maybe the next steps will be. But in the end, what's really happening is just an acknowledgement of you. Whatever you're contemplating, whatever you're fearing, whatever you're surfing through, It's just a confirmation of where one is standing at the moment, actually, even though in astrology we look at the past and we look at the future. And we have to trust what happens in between us in the space that we create. To me, that's everything. To me, I have to stick to my game and do my thing here on YouTube the way I do it. It's not a highly edited video. It's not whatever. I don't care. I care about what I feel in the moment. It feels good to be out here making this video. I'm trying to be hopeful about the next 6 months. I found it in certain places for myself. You're going to catch some of it on my videos. I'm going to filter it through. I'm going to use it. And while I take things out to the garbage or recycle in the next month, or I sell things, and I say goodbye to things, I do it with this attitude. I say yes. I say yes to the mystery. I say yes to going down the river. I say yes to goodbyes. I say yes to what the world is giving me. Some of what the world gives me I do not like, but it doesn't mean I have to engage it in certain ways. It means I can be creative down the line to problem solve, whether in my world or as a community and what I want it to be. But I have to say yes to the change of how I used to do it and how I'm gonna do it. You feel me? I encourage you to find your way to say yes to going down the river. If you're watching this the day of the eclipse, or it's next week when we do Mars and Scorpio stuff, Mars, Pluto stuff, or whatever, which I actually really like the Mars transit, by the way, for the next, till November 11th. I think it's really good. I'll do some videos on this. But whatever it takes, my friends, okay? Those are my thoughts, right? I was thinking about this morning when I woke up and yesterday on a walk. Things that have come to me in my last month and a half of traveling. I know some of you watch. I was traveling. I thought like, well, I asked for the liminal and I asked for the transitory places, and I accept it. For all of us, the astrology's been about the transitory place this whole year. 6 months from now, we go to March, we go to April, we're going to check in. We're going to look back up the river to this time. And I think, and I feel actually, personally, that we'll be glad. And we will have something in the palm of our hands 6 to 8 months from now. Even in the darkest of times, I think we'll have something in the palm of our hands that's beautiful and hopeful and new, to be nurtured and to be loved, right? That's my message today. Wow, it's almost 30 minutes of me just wandering on my words. Algorithms, ones and zeros. It's crazy. You know, there's something, if we were not to think about ones and zero and algorithm, but if we were to think about musical notes and songs that are created, and how we do need to structure musical notes to create the song, the melody, tone, all that stuff. Something else comes out of that. Something that we cannot see. I like to call it the place that's in between the notes. The energy, the story that's in between the notes. So the notes are created, they're concocted in certain ways as a recipe, and we hear sound and we hear a song, and it turns into something else. And if you can't see what's in between the notes, that's fine. There's plenty of people out there trying to document what's in between the notes. I don't need for it to be documented. I just know what's in between the notes. Like, I feel it. I'm experiencing it. So when you're listening to that song that calls you, it's tears, it's joy, it propels you forward. Feel what's in between the notes. That is the river. That is the current that brings somebody upstream. All right, enough of that. Thanks for listening. You made it this far. Subscribe, hit the bell. All right, you can join my Patreon. You can be here as a channel member. Live streams are coming. I'm working on videos right now, extra for my Patreon members, my YouTube members, all that stuff. Look down below. You want to get a reading and have a conversation with me? I love doing that. Love to meet you. Hit it up. Do whatever you want. I hope you have a good new moon in Virgo, okay? All right? And I'll see you on the next video.